13th, 2025, 6 p.m. Let the minutes reflect that 3 board members are present. Mr. McBride is dialed in on the phone, and Mrs. Farley is unable to be here tonight. Mr. Brogan, I'd like to ask you if you would lead us to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, item 3, approval of agenda and adjustments.
I'd like to make a motion to pull the resignation for the assistant track coach under personnel to be voted on separately.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to pull the resignation for the assistant track coach under personnel, handle that separately by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. Brogan. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? The minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that we will pull the resignation for assistant track coach under personnel and handle that separately.
And Greg, I'd like to make a motion that we pull Jacob McBride
Okay,
and vote on that separately.
I'll second that. We have a motion by Mr. McBride, seconded by myself, that under personnel, we pull Jacob McBride and handle that separately. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining? Minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote, we will pull Jacob McBride and handle that separately under personnel.
Make a motion that we pull RT Rogers Oil out to be, the bill to be paid separately.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mr. McBride, that we pull out RT Rogers from the bills and handle that separately. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote, we will pull RT Rogers from the bills and handle that separately. And I'd like to make a motion that we pull the bill for Gregory Angel out and handle that separately.
Second.
Motion by myself, seconded by Mr. Brogan, that we pull the bill for Greg Angel out and handle that separately in the bills. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote, we will pull out Gregory Angel in the bills and handle that separately.
Make a motion that we approve the agenda as read with the aforementioned adjustments.
A second.
Motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mrs. Harvey, to approve the agenda as read with the aforementioned adjustments. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that the agenda has been approved as read with the aforementioned changes. Item 4, we have student achievement. Now, we're going to drop that down and handle that at the same time we do the Summers County LSIC. So we'll go to item 5, presentations, and Ms. Tara Skaggs. Yeah.
He'll get it.
I'm sure, yeah.
Oh, I had 2 of them.
Got it coming.
Keep,
Get the mouse and stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of better now.
Thanks. So I have prepared to be here, but I have not rehearsed. So I definitely have made lots of notes. I just don't want to forget anything important that I would like to share with you. So first of all, I would just like to thank you for inviting me to speak today. I always welcome and appreciate the opportunity to talk about school-based health. It is my passion. And the benefits that it has to students, the parents of the students, the Board of Education staff, and the community. As most of you know, we opened our school-based health center, Summers County Health Center, in the fall of 2022. In the past, I've discussed what an FQHC is and how we afford to offer health care in the schools. I'm going to touch base on that again, just briefly with our PowerPoint that I have. But I just wanted to tell you about me and what an FQHC means to me, and hoping that shedding some light on that will just give you an understanding of the full circle of school-based health, FQHC, and the quality of care. I was a very young wife and mother, and life was definitely far from easy. Along with my life's journey, I definitely encountered a lot of amazing people, and so did my kids, that helped us along the way and directed our path. And one of those being a provider at an FQHC. So although the school that my children attended didn't have school-based health at the time, we were fortunate to have close access to healthcare and transportation to get there. So the provider that we saw at the FQHC definitely made an impact on my life and my kids' lives. At one point, I just thought that my less than traditional path in life wasn't going to get me where I had planned to be, that I could no longer go to college. I've disappointed my parents. They really saw so much potential in me, and they said as much, and they wanted me to, they loved us. I love my children, but they wanted me to pursue life in a different manner, in a different order. So with that being said, I had a really close relationship with my healthcare provider, and I trusted her. And so I went to her in tears, confiding in her about how I felt about my future, the future of my kids, and how I've disappointed my parents. And I'm going to try not to be emotional. But what she said to me is that the only thing that would hold me back from accomplishing my goals was me. And that was so true. And she had an analogy of what I call the traditional path in life, but take us down a highway. We would be going down an interstate, and that's taking an interstate, but there's all kinds of paths to get there. There's the interstate, there's the scenic route, there's an airplane, and I was taking the scenic route. Still would all lead me to the same destination, but along my way, the road would be bumpy. It's going to take longer. But along that way, there would be lots of beauty and create lots of memories. And so an FQHC provider made that difference in my life and in the life of my children. And that's really why I'm standing here before you today. And I'm not very good at following my notes when I make that. So I generally don't get personal about my life and telling people my story. But the truth is that this work, serving the community service, living out Reno Medical Center's mission, it defines me. It's who I am. This is what I'm passionate about. And this is why I'm here for you. And I don't stand alone. Reno Medical Center has a ton of employees just like me. They really hand select people, and people that just want to carry out the mission of community health. And we all have this opportunity to make a difference in a child's life. There's that saying that one caring adult that's not the caregiver of a child can change their life exponentially. And I'm an example of that. And I hope and pray that I've done that for others and that I continue to have that opportunity and that school-based health has that opportunity. And that's what we do. It's a little different than private health and private care, although our standards are so high, and I showed you that before, and I'll show you that again. We're not so bound to those time constraints, and we just really give and care to our patients. So that's what we bring to the table for you and the students that we serve. So I am here today to advocate for the students of Summers County, so they can have direct access to healthcare and behavioral health services, and hoping that they have that one caring adult that helps the school to guide them in their lives and help them be successful. So I'm going to just kind of go through my PowerPoint here. Sorry, I got emotional on you. Yeah. So I've went through this before, so I'm not going to bore you with too much of it, but I do want to just refresh you on the who, what, when, how, and where is here of school-based health. And I'm going to start with our staff. You know me, you know me well. Kira Skaggs, the school-based health director. And with us tonight, we also have Laura Eagle. She is our director of behavioral health services. She does a whole lot with behavioral health, implementing not only in schools, not only in 3 counties, but all of our health centers. So it's pretty incredible what we're able to offer. You've met Shauna Lipscomb. She has now been promoted to our chief of nursing. She was unable to attend tonight. We now have Sharif Shamal. Probably most of you are familiar with him. He has worked here in Summers County for 25-ish years. His father had a pediatric office here that he worked at, and I feel that we are blessed to bring him on board. I know that when David and I originally had talked about this 3+ years ago, that hiring people and employing people that one graduated from here that is from the county was important, that he wanted us to get back to the area. And so we are definitely trying to do that with the staff. Stephanie Hamilton took a position at our main site in Raynell. She is still very rooted in this community. She has family in this community and cares about the community, but due to the stress of job insecurity, not knowing what was going to happen with us, it was just best for her to take a open position that we had at our main site when we were adding a new provider. We actually lost all of our staff. Our front desk had the same insecurity, and she went to work at Meadowbridge, and our nurse went to work for hospice. So she's also living out another important job, doing good work. We have, I'll continue on with Megan Wheeler, who was here, and you're familiar with her, providing services here and at Hinton Area Elementary School. We have, I didn't add Kim on here, but she provides Talcott and Jumping Branch. Jacob Trump is new with us. He is also going to be here. This is Jacob. Jacob is a behavioral health therapist that will be providing a few days a week here. We have the partnership with New School, so they can have the expanded mental health grant where they provide tier 1 and tier 2 services. In order for them to receive the award and implement it, they need tier 3, and they do not have therapists. So therefore, we have partnered with them so they can offer those services, and we do implement the tier 3 services for them. So that's just another one of our partnerships and how we contribute to your students here at the school. Angie Meadows is from this area. Probably many of you know her. Her kids go to school here, and she is our new nurse. And then we have Melanie Hall that just started with us. She is our patient registration coordinator, and she is working the front desk. So she's also rooted here and lives here in this county with kids going to school here. Then we have our health educator that provides love notes here at the high school, and positive potential in the middle school to the middle school students. And those programs are evidence-based curriculums that are lessons for 12 weeks, and the lessons replace the health piece of education. And it also gives your teachers like a small break, because we know that they need those small breaks when they can get them. So moving right along. This is what we do. Just well, Childs, I'll just kind of let you go through our list of annual exams, sports physical, sick visits, behavioral health, laboratory services, immunizations, rapid testing, vision, hearing. We can do DOT physicals for all of your bus drivers, chronic care management, and health education. I am going to go back to the rapid testing. Includes RSV, strep, flu A, flu B, COVID, mono. Those rapid tests allow us to identify who is sick, who has a virus, isolate them so they're not spreading the virus within the school, and then you end up with an in-school kind of epidemic of an illness such as the flu. So by us identifying it early when they're sick and having the parent come into the school, pick them up, we're able to help with that process. The other things that we do is early intervention and prevention, especially with teachers with the CCP program, the chronic care management program, to identify things early, such as diabetes, pre-diabetes. So early intervention to prevent, we can do PT-INRs for anyone that is on a blood thinner. We can do rapid PT-INRs, and we can do rapid glucose testing and A1C testing. So it's pretty neat that we have all of those toys, per se, medical toys, that we can offer all of this rapid services. It's unique. This is some of what we do beyond healthcare. We are your partnership. We had talked about this early on 3 years ago, that we are not here to compete. We are here to collaborate and to partner. And we partner with all of these programs by doing with your athletic teams. I'm sure you've seen our sign on the football field, by the sponsorship, athlete of the week, football, going to games, setting up giveaways, helping parents raffle, encouraging them to come by raffling off Yetis, just different kind of activities, community awareness, fairs, suicide prevention, and then all the other activities that we have done in the community. So we definitely are integrating ourselves into the community, trying to be a part, improve the health, and create awareness. This is now when we are open. We have Monday through Friday hours. As of right now, Sharif is in Reno on Fridays. However, we have new telehealth equipment. It is state of the art. It is virtual. It's not just telehealth as you knew it through COVID. It is a virtual equipment where the nurse will utilize equipment for the provider to see in the ear, look in the nose, look at the eyes, listen to belly sounds, listen to heart sounds, lung sounds, as if the provider was right there with the patient. So it's pretty awesome that we have that equipment. That way, if our provider here is on vacation or he calls in sick, we will still have the nurse here and have the availability to treat and see your patients, your students. We are open year round. I know that there has been concern about when we're going to see outsiders and how we're going to do that. And that is it's very important that we provide this health to your, the parents of your students as well. So we are offering services from 2 to 4. If something changes and we need to revamp those hours, add Friday or extend them, we'll come to that. We'll deal with that when we come to it. But for now, we are offering services. We no longer see the students because of the time they're going to leave at the end of the day and get ready for buses and all this kind of thing. So we close down for the students at 2 o'clock, and we are open to the public from 2 to 4 without students having access. So we did have a plan of access for our door. Dr. Green and I spoke about that, and Chad, and we do have to go back to the drawing board and rework that just a little bit. So we are limiting outsiders until the end of the school day because of that, until we get that revamped. Protecting the students is very important to us as well. This is our why, and I'm just going to read this to you. I think that it's very important. According to the CDC, integrating education and healthcare improves the emotional development, physical health, and cognitive ability of school-age children. Public health and education sectors serve the same children. By combining these two, attendance, health, behavior, and grades will all improve. And this is evidence-based. This is what we see, and this is why on a national level, they are pushing to have school-based health in every single school. School-based health centers, you can see the list here. They do all of these things. I think that it's super important that it's reducing your dropout rates, improving your test scores, your attendance, and healthy kids have the ability to learn. That is key. They just need to be healthy. They need to be safe, to have the ability to learn. And then really promoting that positive behavior, which Jacob and Megan are doing on a daily basis for these students. So maybe right along. I also think that it's important to know that other than a student's home, school and healthcare are the most direct influence of a child's development. Combining the two can have a substantial increase of social, emotional, and intellectual influence in development. I've showed this to you before. This is just statistically primary care. You will have a population about 11,500, and you have one provider for every almost 4,000 people. So with that being said, a provider doesn't even have the ability to see every person one time a year. That's how limited healthcare is here. And that's what we're trying to improve for your students. Just a little bit about healthcare outcomes. And you can see that Summers County is below in poor and fair health. I should say higher. And then this is how we do it. So how can we afford to have a health center that's not making money and someone else can't do it? How do we afford to just lose money? Because school-based health is not a moneymaker. It's a financial loss. And how we do that is grant funding our sliding fee scale, and just we offer health equity. And by seeing patients in the school, our other locations, we accept all insurances. So by accepting the insurance, we accept the amount that their insurance will pay. So we are receiving a 330 grant to offset who can't pay. We're receiving insurance payments and patients' payments. Making money in other locations offsets our loss for the schools. Providing school-based health is a community service. It's part of our mission. It's part of what we do. And we offset that expense through making profit off of other locations. We also take any profit that we have out of our fiscal year, and we reinvest that into another area, which is how we ended up here. That is medically, healthcare underserved. That's medically behavioral health underserved. And this is what I was going to touch base about an FQHC, is just that extra touch of quality insurance. We are held to accountability with, and I'll get to that, of age-based screening, HIPAA and compliance, and we have audits every other year for patient privacy, our coding and pricing, quality, pharmacy, just lots, our trainings, how we train staff, how we hire staff, did we credential them? We are held to very high standards. So a lot of people have this misconception that an FQHC or community health is substandard care, but actually it's the exact opposite. This is the screenings that I was just telling you about. We follow these screenings. You're not going to come to an appointment and we didn't have time to get to it today. We get to it because we are required to get to it, to have that funding to offset that we talked about. So we definitely have to check all these boxes. And again, this is how we do it, by using our dollars to offset and accepting insurance. We're able to provide these things. So with that being said, I'm just going to wrap this up by saying that it has been a challenging 3 years, to say the least. I hope that I have shown you here today, how we invest and why we're invested. My hopes and the outcome of my presentation is that we finally receive your full support, without resistance, and that at Reno Medical Center, we truly have done everything that you've asked, and I personally feel that I have done everything that you've asked. I did watch your last board meeting, and I just want to follow up on that, I know that you're unhappy when you have questions and I'm not present. If it's short notice and I have prior engagements, I'll always do the best of my ability to get here. But I can't always commit if I have a prior engagement and then there was my health issue. So, Reno Medical Center has honored our word, our commitment to your school, and the content of our MOU. We, by your board member decisions, we lost funding to go do a really nice health center that had a man trap, that had a separated waiting group for adults and students. So there were none of these concerns and worries that we have now. These decisions, we lost that funding and it had to be reallocated elsewhere. So what we came up with was a solution that we would be in the space that we are in. And then there was that delay that we needed to wait, which I'm not complaining. I'm understanding that we need to wait to make sure all students have a seat because education has to be first a priority. So we did just that. And then once that happened, we did have to wait to get everything to be cleared out of the room. But our maintenance crew and our construction crew, they're on a year, they built out their schedule for a whole year. So adding in, they took out the build here and now they're adding something back in, but they don't have a timeline. We have to wait till kids are in school, the board approves us coming and everything's cleared out. And then they have to work it in their schedule. So that's what we did. But the great thing is now we're here and we're operational. And we're open to the students, we're open to the teachers. And although we had the delay, we now have the availability to provide healthcare to promote the health and well-being of your students. Students, they need good health to learn. They really do. And I'm here advocating for the same thing that you are, for the overall well-being for the student population, so they can graduate and so that they can become healthy, successful, productive members of society. We all want their well-being, their future. We're working towards their future, and we want to collaborate with you to make that happen. So I am asking you to collaborate with us and let us help you and help us help them. With that, I just thank you for your time. Do you have questions for me?
You mentioned. You can always get. But as I've mentioned in the meeting previously, you took my call at your regular supposed. You don't have to be here to take our calls,
Absolutely not.
and we appreciate that.
Yes.
Also mentioned previously, if you forgot, the board had no conflicts there, but you got the contract. Future plan. You need to be clear. You don't have any enemies. I assure you. And as long as you guys abide by what's in
I just want to be clear and understand what you're saying, that when we had grant
when
funding,
you got grant funding, we knew nothing about it. You can hold us all right. So
I thought that I presented that at a board meeting, but
I'm a little disappointed that Ms. Rader's not here. I would like to invite Ms. Rader anytime she would like to come and sit down with myself, Vice President and Superintendent, to discuss the letter that she sent, as well as the state,
yes,
because there are some inaccuracies in what she said. I will understand. But I think what Mr. Brogan is talking about, so in her letter, it said that because the elected board did not sign the it had to be reallocated.
Yes.
To my knowledge, an MOU that needed signature or to pay the grant was never.
So, I can go back through my email thread. I do have that. We needed, in order to utilize that grant funding to modify this space, we needed you to sign a 3-year MOU. And David, Mr. Warble, do you remember that conversation?
I would have to go back. and-
Yes.
I'm not, at this point in time, I'm gonna be neutral both
Okay.
parties, because I'm not gonna put anybody in a spot, but I don't mind doing the same thing and doing some research on that, because
And I
I
will too.
really don't
Yes.
know particular details, I only know generalities at this point.
Okay, well, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I'll go back and I'll do my homework, and if I owe you an apology, I think that we know that I absolutely will apologize. But I thought that we made it known that that construction with a man trap was with grant dollars. And it required a 3-year MOU.
But my main point is that is extremely unfortunate, whatever the cause.
It absolutely is.
But it's, yeah, again, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you. I would like to speak on Ms. Rader's behalf, that she had full intentions of being here tonight. Her son is sick and her husband's out of town, so she did want to join tonight,
And
so
I
I did.
looked there a minute ago and saw you wasn't copied on that letter. I think she included the state level people. Kind of makes us look like terrible people. Seems to me like. But regardless, again.
I think that she realizes that this has been a difficult journey. There's been some muddy water and we're all trying to navigate through it. Hopefully, we have moved on and moved past and that we're working together, because in the end, we all have the same goal. And, you know, I've said it 1,000 times now, we are not here to compete. We are here to collaborate in partnership.
I can even speak to that. My wife works here in town. I think she was scared about you guys coming.
Thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you. Do you have other questions for me? Well, I do appreciate your time for allowing me to speak. I have a question for you, if I may ask. When we knew that I couldn't attend at the last meeting, I am curious as to know why there was discussion about our MOU, especially when no one was here to answer your questions. What were your questions about the MOU?
So there's really no discussion about it. But because we had it on the agenda for the present and set meetings, and you had to take it too because of health and other. It's felt if we put that. So that's it. So.
Okay. Because I did decline
Was
ample
there
time.
discussion? Yeah. It's out there, it's public, so.
It did. I've watched it and I do feel like it reflects poorly on us that we are following through. It didn't make sense why there would be discussion of the MOU. I am not bringing this up for us to dispute it. I just want to resolve it. If there is anything that you need us to do, or we're not carrying through, or you question, are we carrying out our agreement with you? I just need to know what the questions are for me to answer or solve the problem.
Well, I would like to say that we feel the same way. If
Thank
there's
you.
an issue, it would be much better for Ms. Rader to try to solve that at a local level rather than take it to the negotiation without speaking.
If you all have I share my cell phone number with everyone and my office number and my email at any point. If we leave this meeting and you have questions, please reach out to me. I'll answer your questions and take your calls at any time. I do. Thank you.
Minutes tonight. It just says discussion only. I think you asked a question, how many students, staff, outside. Is that part of her email? 'Cause I always get, did that answer your question? Okay. Okay.
We are unable to extract the information. We have a very dated electronic health system. And so we're unable to extract specific data, how many sixth graders, how many high school students. We could pull,
I think we'd be fine with aggregate data,
Hmm.
just to see, even if it includes the community that's coming to visit.
which is the visits that Ms. Rader gave you.
Right.
That's
Right.
the total visits that include, there's no way for us to break it down by group, but yes.
So to
But
leave
we
on
can
a
report out
pot.
what sharing.
So to leave on a positive for everybody, the last part was the board requested that the community not be served in the morning since students would be in the school at that time.
Right.
So I just want to leave it on a positive that that was also discussed. It looks like there was action taken on their part,
Mhm.
not that you guys had to do. I don't want to put words in your
Right.
mouth, but okay.
Yep.
All right.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you.
We can hug it out. It's all good.
Thank you.
Well, not now. It's too much germs. Do it from like this way.
All right, next presentation, Summers County High School LSIC.
All right, you got me today. So
All right.
We're
Yeah.
going down with.
Did you get the short straw?
No, I got the good one, because I'm not going down with a new one.
Yeah, you said yet.
It's going around.
Oh.
My
I'll
bad.
be closer to the mic.
You will be
Come over
coming
here.
over here?
You know, hang out with us.
So I will be doing this presentation again when we convene the LSIC with the majority of members. So, but, oh, these are handouts that I will refer to later on. All right, so we're going to talk about our goals for this year, our strategic plan goals. I believe we talked a little bit about this earlier in the year when we came and talked about what we were doing to move forward. All right, so our goal for attendance is to decrease our chronic attendance rate by 5%. We want to increase our graduation rate by 2% for this year. School-wide discipline, we would like to decrease our number of referrals by 3%. And then our countywide goal, which we had at 3 earlier in the year, and to match the county, we increased it to 5% growth. So attendance. So these are the action steps we've taken. We're still relying on our communities and schools pretty heavily. Ms. Hudson and Mr. Unrow are working quite hard to address some of those students and even look for new students to add to their caseload. We track potentially chronic students during administration. So when the admin team gets together, we print out the chronic absence list. We go through it and
Should just take these with you.
I'll put it here. We go through it and we discuss like, hey, what do we know about this kid, this person's, what are we gonna do? Or do we need to refer them to somebody? We do the exact same process during leadership team meetings, except we try to send that list out to the entire faculty because the teachers know them better than we do. They see them every day. And so then they can send the information to us, and as we go through, we talk about them. And again, we see who do we need to refer it to? Is it communities and schools? Is it Gear Up? Who's the one that really can make that connection? We're trying to hold more attendance meetings, not necessarily to scare people, but to say, listen, we got to get this. We got to get your kid back in school. Hey, they've missed 10 days. That's 2 weeks of school or more. We really got to talk about this. And it's not just unexcused absences, it's all of them. And we try to talk about that. Because sometimes when we say, hey, we need the excuses for the attendance, they forget that it really is still a total absence that's a problem. Increasing the quality of the instruction. Because that's going to be the big thing. If they can miss 20 days a year and still come out with an A, what's the point? Though obviously, we're not doing something there. Our rigor is not where it needs to be. So all year long, we've been trying to work on that, and later as we go on, there are some things that we're doing. And then we went to the attendance collaborative in November, and so I think as Mr. Metter pointed out during one of the meetings in a snowstorm, I believe, that we're working on a messaging campaign for this year. All right, so this is our attendance data so far. Overall, we're at 33%, almost 34. Our goal was to decrease it by 5. Right now, we're holding steady by decreasing it by a little over 10%. That's our goal. Now, it's still earlier in the year, and that in the summer they do get a little bit, or the spring months it gets a little bit more hazy. But we've been holding around 30% since all year long. That's not where we want to be. We want to get to 19, but we're moving it in the right direction. 7th grade is an area we have to work on pretty intensely. And Ms. Berkshire is working on that pretty intensely because that's our grade level. So that's kind of where we are data wise. What we're doing is working. Is it working as quick as we would like it to? Absolutely not. And so we're moving a little bit different, not a different direction, but a more intense direction for second semester. All right, graduation. I went back and I pulled the graduation rate for the previous year, which is what will show up on the balanced scorecard this year. And in 92.86, that's a historic rate for this school. We've never had a graduation rate that high. So we want to grow at 2%. So hopefully we can get it to 94, 95. I will say the current situation, when I say 0 students have dropped out this year, that means this year only. That means like from August to now, we haven't lost any seniors. We've managed to maintain them. Now I'm sure in their 9th grade, their 10th grade, and their 11th grade, we've lost a couple here and there. But if we can get them here, we can hold them in August, and we can really just keep them going through the end of the year. That's what we did last year, and that's how we got to the 92.86. We just didn't let them go. Every time we thought we were going to have one drop, we just surrounded them with support, and we figured out whatever plan we could to keep them here and keep them across the stage, which is what we're doing right now. So in that regard, we're kind of just following what has been successful for us in the past. Options pathway, graduation coach. I will say Dr. Knott and I worked together at the end of the year to raise some different funding to reinvent that position a little bit. And that individual, who is Andrea Richmond, she has really taken that program on. And she, at the beginning of the year, she said, "What do I need to do?" I said, "Get them across the finish line. That's what you've got to do." And she has done that. She spends her time of that day. She really goes and finds them. She's like, "Listen, you missed this, you've missed this. Let's go. Let's pick it up. Come on, let's get back in class." So we're very fortunate to have her. And then targeted support by appropriate personnel, Ms. Hudson, Ms. Jones, our student support services. And so again, we've not lost one yet this year. We're almost into February, so I think we're going to be good. You don't really ever know what the graduation rate is until it comes out, because you got to follow those kids wherever they go or come back. But I feel pretty confident. I feel really confident that this year, and even last year with this group, that we've done everything we can to hold those kids in school. All right, discipline rates. Our goal was 5%. We're down 12% so far this year. There are some things we've done. We've talked about them before, but implementing expectations and periodic retraining at the big breaks during advisory, the advisory teachers go through the different areas, they retrain them. And then those, in between times that we see, like, we'll go back. If they're not walking on the right side of the hallway, I look at them, I'm like, you're going to go back down the hall, and we're going to come back up and try it again. Those things work. Another thing we've done this year is to better manage classroom behaviors. It's still an issue a little bit, but actually it's our biggest issue. teachers understanding what is an office referral and what is a teacher managed referral. What steps do you take before you turn it over to the administration to deal with? And that, I think that that's helped a lot. And that 12% decrease includes the phones we had to take at the beginning of the year. So even with implementing a controversial rule that we did, and we, at the beginning of the year, we took, I won't say a lot of phones, but we took a higher number, and we knew that was going to happen. But even with that, the rate is 12% decrease. And discipline data is something we talk about at every administrative meeting and every leadership meeting. What you have in front of you, one of the handouts is just a one-pager summary of kind of where we are with PBIS. Ms. Schaefer is the chair of our PBIS committee, and she really keeps us on task. So what we do is we get together, we look at some issues. So she noted some issues there. One thing we had to work on is the time. A lot of people, when they put the referral in, they forget to put the exact time of day. Not a big thing, but when we're looking and we want to see, hey, where are our biggest areas of time where we're having problems, it's kind of a little hard to figure out if they're forgetting to put the time. So the system just sets everything from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So apparently we got a lot going on here at night. And then our classroom issues are still a work in progress. And we have some training scheduled for our next PD day on, what is an office referral? How do we better manage it? Some just general strategies. All right. Academic data. Again, our goal is 5% growth as compared to last year. What we really focused on from benchmarks 1 and 2 is how we decreased our reds. Because if we can get them into the yellow band is such a small, really band that with just a little bit more intensive support, we can probably push them over. So, school-wide, we managed to decrease about 5% in ELA, but in math, we managed to decrease those almost 20% in the red. We managed to move those to the yellow. And one of the things we looked at, because we give our middle school teachers a day to analyze their data, the ELA and math teachers, and sitting down with the math teachers, one of the things they were saying is, well, most of the things that my students are weakest at are standards we haven't covered yet. So that makes me feel really good in that, okay, we're clearly getting, for the most part, what we're already covering. So now we should see even greater growth. And there's a lot of numbers on here, so I'm just going to kind of give you the bird's eye view. On the goal section we have 2 goals. One is our accountability goal, our 5% that we are going to measure our success on. And the other is like our North Star goal, where we are like, this is really where we want to go. This is where we think our maximum potential is, just based on the numbers and where we are. For ELA, we want to get to, our North Star is 54 for 6th grade, 53, and then 50. So everybody, our North Star is 50% or more. Now, I don't know that we're going to hit that. I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to do that, but that's what we're going to strive for. Every conversation the teacher has with the students, every conversation we as an administrative team have with teachers, what are you doing to get to that goal? What are you doing to get there? I will tell you some of the things we are doing right now is our students are looking at their data. If you walk down the middle school wing, you will see data charts. There's a reason for that. The teachers and the students have really looked at their data and compared whole group, and they've said, okay, what do you think it can be? What do you think our goal is? And they, as a grade level, set their goal. So they're starting to take some intrinsic ownership of it as well. And then math we have over here is the 60% for that's our goal for math, and then 50, and then in 8th grade that group needs a lot of support. We'll just leave it at that. They need a lot of support, and we're trying to give them that. And you might say, okay, so for example, 6th grade, right now you're middle of the year, you're at 21%, and you really want to get to 54%. That seems a little ridiculous. But if you go down and you look at, okay, so we're at 21%, we got 32% in the yellow. We can realistically move the majority of those yellows or all of them to the green. So our like North Star goal, so to speak, is not out of the realm of possibility. I feel very confident or comfortable where we are. I'm not saying we don't have some areas where we might really need to go focus a little bit more intensely, but overall in the middle school, I feel very confident that we're going to meet our 5% goal and exceed that goal. High school, I don't have the high school data for you just yet, and I'm going to explain why. Until about a couple weeks ago, I did not know that there was a benchmark program that did exactly what I needed it to do. We were relying on the free app from the College Board for students to take practice tests, and that required students to upload their scores themselves and us to disaggregate that data by hand. That's very clunky. But as part of a CSI school, the principals are assigned a mentor group, and you meet with a mentor principal that's gone through this process. And I have been very blessed to work with the principal of Oakville High School. And in our February meeting, end of January meeting, she showed us this program called Horizon Education. And it is, we give the PSAT and the SAT test. Well, it is a benchmarking program for the PSAT, SAT that does exactly what the middle school program does for them. And so we have, we were as principals given wish list money from what I guess would have been extra COVID funds. And we decided, I talked to Mr. Warble, Ms. Jones, we evaluated this product, and we decided to put some money towards that and purchase this program for our kids to use for this year and next year. And so we are going to pilot that benchmark on Monday. The goal was this week, but the snow kind of threw it out. So we did some training. We use our work from home days very productively. We did some training on how to administer this program. And on Monday, we're going to implement our first benchmark. And so as we come back later in the spring, I'll come back and talk to you about the data from what we see. So anyways, what we're doing, advisories are implementing ELA and math-based lessons. Basically, advisory is going to become test prep, except for the character ed piece we've incorporated into the ELA portion, where they're reading and doing reading comprehension based on the SAT, PSAT reading section. And then the math lessons are either based on Khan Academy, which does SAT prep, or the IXL currently, which does the PSAT prep. There's some other options under Horizons, which we can do, but we really need to be comfortable with the program before we try to move forward. Peer observations. The leadership team is elected by we don't really have departments, but by their departments, social studies, science, so on. And each department has a representative. They're elected by their peers. So the leadership team go in and we're looking at the engagement level, because that's one thing our school notices. We have an engagement issue. A lot of times it's lower level engagement activities. And so the administration go through and we do walkthroughs, but when we talk about the data in the leadership team, it doesn't always mean exactly what we think it means. So the goal is eventually the majority or a lot of our staff will feel comfortable to do peer observations. And we can start having collaborative conversations like, hey, I saw this, this really works, I'd like to try that, those kind of things. But we start with the leadership team and we go in and we've used some wish list funds for that too. We get 2 subs for the day, and each leadership team member takes a period, maybe 2, and they just go in and they just mark, is it a 1, 2, 3, or 4 activity, or is there complete disengagement? And that's complete disengagement, which is when more than half of your students are not doing anything. So nobody knows who it is. There's none of that. It's just a box checked and then we move on. We've had some pretty good success with that. The leadership team members have seen some things that they like and that they would like to try with other people, but we've also seen increased UK activity or level activities. And then reading support, Miss Kristen Richmond had come to our 6th grade ELA class because as a leadership team, one of the pieces of feedback we got was our students struggle to read. 612, they're struggling to read. So I researched, they researched. Kristen Richmond happened to just come in a sixth grade class and piloted a strategy that she had seen and researched. So I sat in on it and I was thinking this, because we know one of the best ways to get kids to be better readers is to just practice reading. And she came in, it worked really well. So I said, you come to a PL day and show us the strategy. And she did, we trained the whole staff. And the goal was at least one day a week, everybody's implementing this into their content. This strategy requires reading, summarizing. So it's going to build those skills that we need. And then strengthening our tier one, which is our basic instructional practices, making sure that we have more critical thinking included in our lessons. So we've done 2 days so far. We've done November and December. We'll start back in March with peer observations. But if you look, in March, we had about 35% of the lessons observed that day were DOK 1. And then in December, not March, but November, and in December, it's less than 20%. In December, and on that day, nobody knows when we're coming, except for the team. So teachers don't know, like there's no pre-planning that goes into this. This is just a general look at what's happening. So on that day, we had a majority or overwhelming majority of our activities at a two or higher. Now, disengagement, 12.7, when they did this initial one of the things I heard was the leadership team was just waiting for me to go off on the 12% disengagement. That means 12% of your observations nobody's doing anything. So they're waiting for me to, kind of have a fit over that. I wasn't thrilled with it, but we sat down as a team and we talked about it. One of the things we realized, we were going in during like grab and go breakfast time. So there's not going to be a lot of engagement. So then we revised our practice. We excluded those particular periods. And I think we got a much more accurate representation in December.
Dr. Green, is that IPI model you're using?
It's like the IPI model.
The reason why I bring it up is the board learned about Dr. Valentine, and that's what he's referring to, that they go in. So I know you guys got that training and you heard from Dr. Valentine. I'm just trying to bring it together so they know what you were doing.
I really did just pull from it and just amend it to what we wanted it to be. So it's exactly like that. And that's why I'm sure Dr. Valentine said it was not for evaluative purposes or anything like that. It's exactly like that. I don't see it. Miss Berkshire actually collects all the data and puts it in and makes the charts. I don't see it until she gets finished. And so we continue it that way. If we do, we might talk about, hey, I saw this was really good, or maybe this was something, but nobody knows who it is. There's none of that there. All right, so then this is the administrative focus, or this is our walkthroughs. As you can see, as we've gone through the year, our number of DOK activities has decreased. October, we were on it. We were doing great in October. We're going to get back there, but we had November was a lot of holidays, December, and then, we really weren't here in January. But overall, I'm really pleased because it's more than just memory recall. Students have to be actively engaged. Maybe not to the level that we necessarily want them to, but they have to put some work into it. So we're going in the right direction. So I had 2 people that were going to come talk about programs. One has the COVID, one has flu. So here we are. This is part of a conversation Dr. Knott and I had about improving our graduation coach program and our work program. And so Ms. Andrea Richmond took both of those pieces. It was kind of a package deal there. And she has done amazing work with that. The student enrollment is low, but this is really the first time that someone has gone out and really built relationships with the community. This program is very much a work in progress. I know Marty Mann really did a lot of work when it started, but she had a lot of different things to look at. Ms. Richmond has really used her connections in her own private life to build this program, and I think we're gonna see a lot of work with it. The goal for this program is really to be not necessarily another CTE program, but like another CTE program. That's the goal for it. So she has continued the relationships that we built with the state park. They go pretty rare, unless she can't be there and we can't get a sub, or it's a delay or something like that, that would alter our schedule. They go all the time. Pipe stem, again, we've kept our commitment there. These are new ones that she has added this year. The Bobcat Fitness Center, partnerships with the city of Hinton. They've done several different projects with the city. And again, this is kind of where she was able to use her existing private relationships. With Mountain Plex Property, she's gone in and they've done projects. And these are just some other areas. I'm not doing this part of the presentation justice. I'll bring her back one night to talk about it more in detail. But this program, I think she's put it on a trajectory that it's going to be something that more students want to be part of. It's going to, help kids that maybe they don't fit in our particular CTE programs, but maybe there's a business that some of our kids are interested in. Ms. Richmond could go and try to build that relationship and get that student that type of internship opportunity. All right. Any questions? I've tried to keep it as bare bones as possible, get to the most important things: attendance, discipline, and academics. And, we know we're not where our end result wants to be, but we are working every day to get there. And we're just going to keep moving along every day.
In the way that you provided it, because that was looking at chronic absenteeism versus attendance rate.
Right.
And what DOK level, I really appreciate the DOK level presentation in the way that it was, because in the past, we've heard the programs that we were using and not the outcomes of those programs necessarily. So I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, I will turn the floor back to you.
Sure. All right, we are now at item 6, public comment. No? Thank you. Item 7, we have approval of minutes for January 28th, 2025 regular meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from the January 28th, 2025 regular meeting.
Second. Motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by myself to approve the minutes from the January 28th, 2025 regular meeting. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Jay, you there?
Mr. McBride, you still with us?
Yes, I said aye.
Okay, thank you. Didn't hear you.
All right.
Opposed? Abstaining?
Aye.
The minutes reflect by a 3-0 vote with Mr. Brogan abstaining. The minutes from January 28th, 2025 regular meeting have been approved. All right. First bill we have before us is for RT Rogers.
Make a motion that we pay Archie Rogers.
Second.
We have a motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. McBride to pay the bill for RT Rogers. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 3-0 vote that the bill for RT Rogers has been approved, with Mr. Brogan recusing himself. Ms. Harvey, can I turn the floor over to you for the next one? For the next bill for Gregory Angel, I'm going to recuse myself, as this is a repayment for my daughter's dual credit class.
So next, we have on the agenda a bill for Greg Angel to be paid.
Make a motion, we pay the bill.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
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 All opposed? And all abstaining? And let the record reflect with a 3-0 vote and Mr. Angel recusing himself that the bill for Gregory Angel has been approved.
Okay, so now we have before us the remainder of the bills.
Make a motion that we pay the remaining bills.
Second.
A motion on the floor by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. Brogan, that we pay the remainder of the bills. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that the remainder of the bills have been approved for payment. Old business, item 9, discussion or possible action concerning the superintendent's employment term. I don't think there's any discussion for that on this time. Do you all have anything?
I don't.
Okay, so we'll take no action on that. B, discussion or possible action regarding the Summers County Health Center, Rainelle Medical Center MOU. Any discussion for that one?
I honestly expected you guys to peace out once you got your part done. That's why I brought up what I did, so that's all I had.
Say no action?
Mr. Angel?
Yes, sir.
Is it fine to, after the meeting, go take a tour of set?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that was not brought up, sorry, both of you. I
Yeah.
thought, nobody's talked about that part, and I'd
Yeah.
like to see it too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Item 10, new business, proof purchase is over 25,000. We have before us network equipment purchase through E-rate, this is funded through county technology funding and E-rate, $42,259.13. And we also have the CTE roof project, McKinley Architecture and Engineering, $50,000, West Virginia School Building Authority grant and county funds.
Do you want me to explain these?
If you would,
quickly?
please, sir.
Okay, for people out there, just to let everybody know, $42,259.13 sounds like a lot of money. It is. But when you're talking about keeping, all our schools going with our technology.
Wi-Fi stuff.
It's everything, and it's the next 5 to 7 years, give or take. But we have an E-rate of 85% from the federal government. This bill is really closer to $250,000. And we're paying 42 of that $250,000, basically. It's a little higher than that, isn't it, Chad?
The total was 281,000. The category 2 network work is 85% of it.
And then the CT roof project, that's the one that, through the MIP with the SBA. Now, if everybody's wondering, what's all these acronyms, I will explain. MIP is basically the improvement plan. It's a smaller project that counties can apply for smaller, jobs. Well, our small job, which is a big job to us, but it's small in the realm of 55 counties, we're replacing the CT roof. We said we would contribute 50,000. The SBA is contributing close to 700,000. Having said that, the bids came in lower. We have to pay a portion still of that, and we're only going to pay between 18 to 20,000, give or take. But the reason why we're putting out here for the public to understand, we need to earmark the 50 to honor our side of the bargain. I don't think we're going to spend that much, but you never know what you get into when you peel that back. But the good news is the SBA has contributed over 95% of that to help us out. So those are the two, Mr. President. Quick update, if that helps you out. If you guys have any questions.
I'm sure we've had a little bit of water running through that roof over the past few days.
It's
So.
kind of funny, of all the places, that one's is that the least one?
Yeah. It's the driest right
Oh, my.
The weight room?
Weight room still.
Oh, that one.
They just know how to live with
Yeah, they're used to putting buckets.
Um,
I hate to say that, but we're almost there. We want to get that going. So we're almost there. We're gonna sign a contract with them. I signed it today, gave it back. They wanted to make sure, they being, Tri-State, they knew that they couldn't honor getting it done the time we all agreed on because, well, the weather. We understood that and everybody understands that. So we just adjusted it to get it out closer to be done by May, June. If weather permits, but right now, weather has not permitted, and I think we're all reasonable about that, you know?
It's hard to do roof when it's snow or raining on it.
Yeah.
We'll make a motion that we approve the two purchases over $25,000 to network equipment and first network equipment and CT roof project.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by Mr. McBride to approve the purchases over 25,000 for network equipment purchase and CTE roof project. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that the purchases over 25,000 for network equipment purchase and CTE roof project have been approved. Okay, the first personnel item we're going to look at is the resignation for the assistant track and field coach, Sarah Griffith, effective 2/7/2025.
The reason for that, Mr. President, just so everybody knows, she is our head track coach, but she can't have both.
Yeah,
Just
we
want
hired her
everybody
at
to
the
be
last
clear about,
meeting.
yeah.
Okay.
Motion that we accept the resignation.
I'll second.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Brogan, seconded by myself to accept the resignation of Sarah Griffith, assistant track and field coach, effective 2/7/25. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, abstaining. The minutes reflect by a 3-0 vote with Mrs. Harvey recusing herself that the resignation has been approved.
And I should have stated before I left, that I was accusing myself of considering the family member.
All right, Mr. McBride. Excuse me.
I will walk out of the room.
I'm going to mute my phone on this end and you won't even have to walk out of the room.
All right.
Excuse me. All right, we have before us, find it here. Under
Professional.
employment substitute professional, Mr. Jacob McBride.
Make a motion that we approve the recommendation for the substitute professional, Jacob McBride.
I'll second. I have a motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by myself, to approve the employment substitute professional Jacob McBride. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes, excuse me, let the minutes reflect by a 3-0 vote that the hiring of Mr. Jacob McBride as employment substitute professional has been approved, with Mr. McBride recusing himself. Okay, Mr. McBride, you're back with us now.
All right.
All right. So we have before us now the remainder of the personnel. There is one addition, excuse me, for a bottle of water. Kevin, do you have a bottle of water in here? Check in Susie's office. She'll have it. Okay.
Have mine if you need.
That's all right. So we have before us, one addition under employment service. That's Hope Earhart, Tier 4 HAEs, the location. Effective date is 2/17/2025, and that's going to, the funding source for that is a grant for Tier 4. All the other positions have been posted according to the required time frame.
And if you look up at the top where you see resignation, you see the person for tier 4 is resigning, their last day is tomorrow. We were able to get someone in there Monday, so we're very thankful for that. That's not an easy position to fill with a Dr. Knott. So hurry up and get this one approved is what Dr. Knott said. And, the other ones you see for next school year, we're already able to get that 3rd grade. We have 4
Yes, sir.
ready to hire. These are new positions with the 3rd grade, act to make sure kids pass. So 2 are filled. We just need 2 more. There's 2 at Hinton, 1 at Talcott, and 1 at Jumping Branch for that for next school year.
So those are current ECATs, current aides, so we'll have to backfill their positions. Is that correct?
The ones that are in these positions, some of them are new and some of them will vacate a position, yes. But through RIF and transfer, it's easier to do it this way because then nobody loses. We're trying to hope nobody loses out on a job and go through RIF. I'd rather transfer, but right now these are new created jobs, so we're trying to, but we still have to build 2 at Hinton area. That's the 2 left. But we'll post them again, and we have people interested, but we told them to go on Canvas and get that training so they can move forward. But some people think they can apply and then do it later, kind of like the alternative certification program. But in this case, they just need to get the training done, and that's not as tough to do compared to the certification that takes over a year or 2 to get done. So we should be able to get it covered.
Make a motion that we approve the remaining recommended personnel position.
So we have a motion by Mrs. Harvey, seconded by Mr. McBride to approve the remaining personnel items recommended by the superintendent. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that the remaining superintendent recommendations for personnel have been approved. Item 12, discussion of next agenda.
Mr. President,
Yes,
one
sir.
thing I can tell you, and I need you to correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Jones, but Jumping Branch, you guys will all be gone at that time, right? The principal, Ms. Newsom will be with you?
Branch and the teams in the high school
Yeah.
will be in Bridgeport for a 3-day conference.
So do you guys still want to
Why
meet?
don't,
Where do you
why don't
wanna meet?
why don't we then just meet here on February
Okay,
25th?
that's why
And
I'm
then
asking.
we can move Jumping Branch to the first meeting in March.
Okay, just swap it out.
Yeah.
The first meeting in March, wait a minute. Is that the LSIC?
It may be.
Now, I'm
Yeah.
not trying to correct you.
No, no.
Um,
If it is, we'll just
Yeah,
move
'cause
it to
that-
the next available
That's the
meeting.
one, remember, we had to move it because of the national board
Okay.
certification banquet in Charleston, if I do recall.
We'll just leave that and reschedule at a
So
later
Hinton
time.
area is LSIC?
Yeah,
We'll
we'll
get
just
them.
reschedule at a
We'll
later
own them
time.
one.
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds good.
But
Okay, so
you're gonna
the-
want here, though. Okay.
Yeah, the next meeting will be held here, February 25th, 2025 at 6 PM.
Okay.
All right, Mr. McBride, item 13.
All right, I'll make a motion, we adjourn, the time is 7:19.
I'll second. Motion by Mr. McBride, seconded by myself that we adjourn. The time is 7:19. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. Let the minutes reflect by a 4-0 vote that we are now adjourned at 7:19.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. McBride.
Jay.
You're welcome.
My daughter sent me this and my wife during the board meeting. You know, she works for Alpha as a mechanical engineer. They were out on site today and she did it. They got a picture. I said,
Yes,
you made my
did.
day. And she's the only female in that office, so I'm sure those boys gave her a hard time. She said, Dad, they're nothing because you raised me to have thick skin.
She slide all the way down that hill?
I don't know. I want to hear the rest of that story. I'll be glad to report that out to you. You got keys at place there, gas?
Shad.
Or, oh,
Shad's
okay.
saving us on.
Yeah, Chad, we're good.
I don't even get used to this place.
I don't have them either, so it's okay. Honestly, I have a huge person that can just play that. Like, what's
Kim Hartman, welcome to Chocolate Farm.
That's good, peanut butter and chocolate. And strawberries and chocolate. See, chocolate goes
I
better
may,
anything.
I don't even know what got into me one day, but I decided I was gonna make Kelly some chocolate covered strawberries. I dipped them in white chocolate and then I melted regular chocolate
Double dipped them.
and put it in a sandwich baggie and then just snipped the corner of it and just used that
Oh, the drizzle.
to drizzle it.
Look at you,
I'm telling you, I was impressed.
man. Kinsey will put you to work.
I actually did for Kinsey last year. And Kinsey's had the stomach flu and ain't been there all week this week. And so I'm surprised I haven't done a call. But I haven't so far. So
For pawpaw duty or cake duty?
it makes no difference. It's insane how many.
And they're gonna be like me, try to get beer going, and I'm pushing.